Welcome to Zerothreetwo Conversations, the podcast where we talk to creatives, see how they live, and how they do their work. I'm your host, Carlo Villarica. Normally, I like to record my intros and outros in a quiet spot, someplace where there's not too much wind, or preferably not outside, because, at least if it's just me, I can control the environment. But a few days ago, I was playing basketball and then I severely sprained my ankle. So walking around is a little bit difficult. So bear with me. I'm in the front porch. I'm outside. We'll see if we'll hear any roosters or rain or cars passing by or wind. We'll see what happens. But that's what happened a few days ago. I sprained my ankle. I need crutches to walk. Hopefully it's just going to be a few days of ankle sprain. Hopefully it's nothing serious and I can get on with regular work. Honestly, today it's a bit hard, but we keep moving forward. In today's episode, we talk to Luigi Miguel Balazo. He's one of those artists or musicians that have like plenty of groups. He has the ability to just lend a hand to lend his musical approach to a whole bunch of groups. So he's one of those guys. He's most known for his work in Sepia Times, and they recently started a new group called the Sellout Club. So we talked to him, and this is my first time to talk to him, and interesting dude. And if you wait till the end of the episode, we're going to play their single that came out a few months ago called You and Me. This was my first time to talk to him. According to Luigi, I met him before in an event or something, but he was one of those guys helping out in the event, so I didn't really get a chance to talk to him. So this was the first time that I really got to talk to him. And he reached out through the Zerothreetwo Facebook page. And after listening to the music and I realized who he was, I thought he'd be a good get for an interview for a Zerothreetwo conversation. And part of what I want to do with this podcast is I get to listen to the perspective of the new crop of artists that are coming up here in Cebu. Because, back then when I was in music, I knew all the guys, but now they're all, they're like me. They're all kind of old, and it's nice to hear from artists who are current, who are doing their thing right now and coming up with new music. So if this is your first time to listen to Zerothreetwo Conversations, please subscribe. We come up with an episode every Tuesday. All right, let's get to the interview.
Well, I guess if you were a food connoisseur, then,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I think you have a bias towards the arts and music because you run design. Is it safe to say Zerothreetwo is a design company or?
Not really. We're like a
local
social
brand.
media marketing. Oh yeah. We're a local brand also.
Yeah, a local brand that. And you were also in a band in the past.
Yes.
So I guess subconsciously you get drawn to, example, when I reached out to you about promoting the Sellout Club. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because for sure, I have a bias towards music, and I know that already. And then, why am I going to fight my bias? It's something that I'm interested in. And
well, it's a completely valid thing to say no to something that you don't want to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
no, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I have no qualms about it.
Yeah.
No, but that's why I'm glad you reached out, because first of all, this is literally the first time I've ever talked to you, right? And then,
yeah.
Is it? Am I wrong?
I'm pretty sure we've had oh hi, and then we never talked to each other for the rest of the day. 'Cause, when I would help out with events in the past, and then I think you would speak as a guest in some of them, and then I would help out with the technical stuff.
Oh yeah, well, apologies, because as you know, sometimes it's very difficult to get.
Oh no, I mean I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it because you asked if we ever had a conversation before. This is the first actual conversation that we've ever had, but we haven't spoken before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll get to that because, anyway, as far as I was concerned, I wasn't very familiar. But when I saw your name there, was like, why is this guy's name familiar?
Mm.
And then it occurred to me that Katsuki mentioned you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she mentioned you in her podcast, in our podcast interview. And then like you were one of her first, I believe, volunteers for Tutu Tango Records.
Oh yeah. I was one of. We were like 3 or 4 interns going into the record label to work to help out, and then I was one of the first.
Yeah, you were one of the first. Why'd you want to volunteer? What compelled you to do something like that?
Well, go on. I think I just got back from New Zealand, and I wanted to get into the music scene. Well, you could do that without going into a record label, for sure, right?
Yeah,
like
for
you could
sure.
visit shows, but it was one of the many things that I like. It's not. Damn, how do I say this? I'm like stuttering. It was one of the things that I did to get myself immersed in the scene. It's not the only thing,
Oh yeah.
but it was one of the things that I did to get and to like meet new people, learn,
Wait,
to
so
learn.
you did you grow up in New Zealand or something?
I grew up in Cebu
Mm-hmm.
and I spent most of my life here, and then I lived in New Zealand for a year
Oh, okay.
because family. I didn't want to go to New
Mm.
Zealand, but like I had a choice. So I went to New Zealand for about a year, and then I studied there. Came back here because my family decided that it was actually difficult to live there. And I came back here, and then I knew I wanted to get into the music, like get into the art scene here, the local music scene. Not necessarily as an artist, although that I had that in the back of my head, but I just wanted to get involved in stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that volunteering for Tutu Tango was one of the things that you did to get immersed. What were the other things?
Well, I had besides the tango, I already had a few bands that I was in, and I was already recording. Even before that, I was already recording music on my shitty laptop. Actually, way back in high school, I would have this cheap ass headset that probably didn't cost more than 200 pesos, and then I would take the microphone of that headset and put it against my guitar to like just do some recording. It sounded really bad, but it was a good start. And then ever since then, I would do recordings. I invested in recording equipment, just like home recording stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was already recording. So I was helping out with Tutu Tango, and I was recording bands here. And I was also writing and recording my own music.
That's cool because like I know. I mean, off mic we didn't catch it, but like I told you that I used to record also, and then it really did start like that. Like I remember. Wow, I had like I had an electric guitar. I went abroad for a year. I brought my electric guitar. I couldn't bring my amplifier because, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wait, you brought your electric guitar.
So I brought my electric guitar because I was like, I need to be able to play
Yeah.
somehow. And then I wasn't in love with my acoustic, and I really loved my electric, so I brought that. And then I realized I could record stuff on my also probably equally crappy laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot what I did. Like I found a microphone somewhere, recorded it, and then found an emulator, and then added distortion, and then it was actually really cool. Like I found, but like I'm just saying, like in a way we've all like I've been there too, and I want to like show people that sometimes if you don't have anything, if you don't have the equipment or whatever, you start with what you've got, right?
Yeah. Thing about that is, if you have sometimes you have to be shitty before you get good.
I feel like it's always like that. I feel like it's always like that. You're always shitty before you get good.
So like whatever it is, recording music or doing a podcast, you gotta produce shit. and then that shit gets better, and then eventually it's not shit anymore. I think, like, that really reminds me of the days when I started recording. So the thing I mentioned when I would put the microphone headset against my guitar, and then sometimes I would have an electric guitar, and then plug it into the microphone jack on the laptop, which is not like the standard guitar cable. You don't use a standard guitar cable. I had like a guitar cable, and then I had an adapter that went into the tiny microphone jack on the laptop. And then whenever, how you can't hear the electric guitar when you play it, right?
Yeah.
But when I listened to it through the headphones, there would be a delay. Because
bitaw?
there would be a delay, and you wouldn't be able to play properly. So what I would do is I would make an effort to play to the music, like play my guitar to the music. Or I would play earlier, para matiming siya, para so that the guitar would like be on tempo with the music, But it's like so much effort compared to if you had like actual recording
that
gear.
Sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. Like one simple guitar lick would take me a whole hour to record just because of that delay.
But like, but you could see that since you powered through that, then you got to eventually, you knew that, okay, if you buy this equipment, I'm just not going to use it once, and it's just going to stay there in my closet forever.
Well, it was a learning experience because I had no idea why that delay was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea why that delay was happening. And then, you learn and you pick stuff up. And I'm like, this is actually not normal. And I can do something about this. And then you grow. It's
Are you currently recording? Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you working in room 11? Is that something that you do? Are you one of the engineers?
I used to. I don't work there anymore.
Oh, okay.
But shout out to room 11 and Tutu Tango. Shout out to them because I learned a lot from them, and then it was a good experience. To the people there also, shout out to them. If you guys have like events or stuff that you want to record, you can go ahead and check them out. But yeah, I stopped recently. I stopped working there recently, and then I think I just wanted to focus. I want to focus on my stuff. Doing my stuff.
Yeah, because I noticed. It seems to me like it's you're like, there's a certain type of musician where they have like they have the capacity and ability to be in a whole bunch of bands.
Yeah. Oh, dude, so many people come to mind. But like, I can't. Even I myself, I think I am sort of guilty of that.
Yeah, no, man. I think it's great. Like, I don't have that ability for sure. Like, I was always the type who would like, if I have a band. In fact, that's what happened with me. Like with my previous band with Rescue Hero, we were a bunch of friends, and then once everybody left, I just didn't feel like going through the whole process anymore.
You mean like
finding
no,
people?
I totally get you, because like when I got back from New Zealand and then I was looking for members, it's not just about finding someone who's good.
Yeah.
It's about finding someone you can vibe with. And when you do find someone who you're not close to yet, you have to make an effort to build that relationship with them.
It's a whole process.
Yeah.
No, it's like what I tell friends is that like, like being in a band, it's like finding 3 or 4 girlfriends.
Then like it's especially at first it's super awkward. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit of an introvert. But I am like, if I put an effort to it, I'm capable of like putting up decent conversations. But to me, it's sort of awkward when you invite someone to play and then when you meet up at the studio and you're like, okay, what do I talk about with this person? I mean, it clicks sometimes straight off, like as like that. But there are times when I'm like, okay, you stand there awkwardly in the same room for 10 minutes before you actually start a conversation.
Happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think creating music is like a very intimate in a non-sexual way, like an intimate thing. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Like you're putting your soul out there somehow, and then usually when you're creating music with somebody, you put it out there, and it's not a finished product yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's super far from a finished product, and then you expect them to help you somehow.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, like the expectations that come into play, because you can't guarantee that it's gonna go anywhere, and you're asking for someone else's time.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Oh, kana, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, tell me like, so what? Do people still call it bands? Can you, or is it like, what do you call? It's so weird now. I'm so out of it that I don't even know the terminologies anymore. Like groups or music groups. What do you?
Well, I can't call the Sellout Club a band.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would call us a group
Okay.
or like an artist group, because a band to me is like there has to be someone playing an actual instrument. You know, I mean, because when I imagine the Sellout Club playing live, I imagine my partner Noah on a disc jock, a turntable, or some kind of on his laptop, and like some other gadgets, and I'd be on my laptop and my gadgets as well, and we'd be on opposite sides of the stage while Mandy's in the center singing. And to me, when I look at that, when I picture that in my head, I can't really call it a band, you know.
Yeah.
I need to see like someone on the guitar, or someone on the drums or the piano.
That's why the music scene in Cebu right now. There's so many music acts like that.
Yeah.
In a way, it's really. I'm really impressed with the quality that's been coming out lately, because it's I don't know, man. It's really good in general, but I struggle in a sense, like I don't know what to call them. Like obviously, yeah, I can't say they're bands. That's why I was just curious, like what do you say, like music group or just group?
Pop
or
group,
pop
I
group?
guess. Like, okay, someone. If we're getting the terminologies right, at least for me personally, so a band would have to be, people playing to some extent, using organic instruments.
Okay.
Even the electric guitar to me is sort of organic, but so like Sepia Times, another band that I'm in, another
Group.
damn.
See,
Okay,
like,
all these
you get what I'm
terminologies.
saying? You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly. I get where you're going with that. But I guess the safest thing to call anyone or any group performing music, artists.
Artist.
Yeah, musical
That's
artists.
cool.
Yeah, musical artists.
Musical artist. Yeah.
That's the most vague and most general general thing that you can call anyone making music. Really.
Sige, let's talk about I actually want to touch on Sepia Times
Okay.
too. But still, let's start with the Sellout Club. So how did you guys get started? Because I know that it's a new thing.
Yeah.
Because I think when you sent me a message, correct me if I'm wrong. Like you guys didn't even have a name yet. For
Oh
the
yeah.
group.
I made you wait a good amount of time. Back then we had a list of names, so we didn't decide yet. So the Sellout Club started last year, actually.
So there's the three of you. It
started with just me.
Oh, okay.
Well, the story of how we all came together was, I think it was in November or December last year. There was this local artist whom I will not mention lang. He's good. He's good, and he puts out very solid songs. And he put out this pop song, right? Something that's not exactly common in Cebu, because most of the musical artists here, they record rock or indie, right? I don't know if I'm wrong. Like,
well, generally that was my thinking. Like at my time, it was really rock, indie, garage band type music.
So those who would write their own songs, a lot of them are rock and indie or acoustic, or it's like around that general circle.
Yeah.
At least I could be wrong, but around that I didn't hear a lot of pop, like electronic pop or like modern pop. So I was like, okay, this song sounds awesome. I want to do something like this, and I wanted to sell. It started sort of like a joke. Really.
Mm.
I wanted to, I was going for the cliche. You know, when you listen to something, something from outside the Philippines, like let's say Ariana Grande or the Chainsmokers, and then at first you're like, oh wow, I can dance to this, but then it's after like one day you hear it 100 times and you want to destroy your radio
Yeah.
or like throw your laptop out the window because you keep seeing or hearing that song. I was going for that cliche. I'm not saying we reached it. That was the goal. And then I wrote the pop song "You and Me." I wrote that our song, and I didn't think I could do it alone. Obviously, I wanted to sing. I can't sing, so I got this cool dude, Noah. His name is Noah.
Noah Silvio.
Yeah, Noah Silvio. I saw his stories on Instagram, and he would post music, EDM music that he made. And I'm like, you know what? He would be a good fit to work with me on this song because he has a very decent foundation with pop and EDM. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to this guy. And
So wait, did you know him beforehand or?
Well, I knew him by name.
Oh, okay.
We went to the same high school together, but we weren't in the same year. But I knew that he did music. We're connected on social media, but we never really had. We weren't friends. We weren't friends, you know. And then, so yeah, I reached out to him, and then I said, "Let's meet at this coffee shop, and then let's talk about making music." And then we did that, and from there, that was really fast, and we trade roles. Like he produces music too, and we trade roles between. Sometimes I do engineering, audio engineering of the song, and sometimes I do I make the digital instruments and MIDI stuff.
Okay,
but
so when you say audio engineering, like the mixing,
yeah, the mixing
making
and the
sure it's all
mastering,
balanced out.
Yeah,
And
he does know that too. He knows that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it out loud for the listener, just in case they don't know. And then the MIDI stuff, like the actual music.
Yeah.
Like the sounds that you hear.
You just got educated, folks.
Okay.
But no, audio engineering, it's not limited to just mixing. It's a very wide very wide field. But anyway, back I was talking about Noah. So we met at a coffee shop, and then I talked to him about the song. And I told him, can you make beats for this, or can you like add instruments and stuff? I had nothing, so I had Noah make it from scratch. So props to Noah for he made an awesome arrangement for the song. The main direction was from me, but he was able to materialize what I told him.
What did you give him? What?
Oh wait,
just the lyrics, or?
I typed a note for him, like a note on a notepad. Like I typed all my instructions and what I wanted for each part, and he's like, "Okay, I'll do it, but I can't guarantee that I'll follow you completely because sometimes I'll want to do my own thing." So I gave him that freedom as well.
Oh, cool.
And
okay. Wait. Sorry.
So it's cool. Yeah. What?
Like, what did you put in the notepad? Like, what for the first? It starts this way, and then 30 seconds later, this happens, and then
exactly. That's
no,
exactly
really?
how
Seriously?
he did it. Yeah, and then.
Oh wow! Okay.
But you have to be good at describing what you want, because you can't just. Sometimes sounds are not sounds have names, but if you don't know the name, you can describe it. It's a hard thing to materialize. When you're trying to tell someone, I want you to make this sound. Sometimes they don't know how to do it, or they don't know what they could research about it, but they don't know what it's called. So
now you're gonna have to give me an example. Now you gotta do that.
In the EDM genre, there's this sound that goes shh, like in a silent part, and then it gets like it. Here's a better example. There's something we call reverse cymbals.
Okay.
Reverse cymbals.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
And people have no idea what that is when they listen to it. When they listen to a pop song and they hear that, they just know it. You know it sounds cool, but you don't know what to call it. And then, so let's say you're working with someone who isn't really experienced in music, and you tell them, "Oh, I want this. I want what's going." You let them listen to a song, and I want you to put that in my song. And they have no idea how to do it because they don't know what it is. They could research about it, but they don't know what it's called. And, you know, if you type something like "shh" on Google, you won't find it.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I get it. So you guys are familiar with the vocabulary as well of those things. Like, I just know.
You have to be familiar with the vocabulary.
Yeah, like I know reverse symbol because I don't even know why I know, honestly. Like, I just know. I know how to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But, so that's what you did. So you wrote it down on the paper. Okay, so you guys met in a coffee shop, wrote down more or less what you wanted in the song. Did you have lyrics in the...
I had the song down before I met Noah.
So the lyrics, you mean, like the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Noah did a fantastic job. It took him 2 weeks, which is, to me, that was fast. I gave him instructions and he gave me something in 2 weeks. That was really fast and he did a great job. And then, by that time, I think it was already January earlier this year. And we were stuck for like 3 or 4 months because we were looking for a vocalist. We had to find someone who could nail the pop sound, you know? And then, I already knew Mandy. I was gunning for a few other, I was...
So Mandy is Amanda Gabukat?
Amanda Gabukan,
okay.
Yeah. We went through a couple of other vocalists. Like, we tried to work it out, but in the end, we decided to get Mandy. She has a great voice. I know her from... she was featured on this song called Elope by .fc.
Okay.
Yeah, Carlisle and Fresh.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how I knew her. And in the end, we decided to get her. She already had like experience, and we wanted the workflow to be easy. We weren't like, imagine this: me and Noah are sort of introverted.
Okay.
And then we'd have to work with a vocalist that we weren't friends with. Somehow, it all worked out. We were stuck for months, and then we decided on Mandy, and then from there, it was all good.
No, but like, how did that happen? So, you had to, what, you sent her a message on Facebook, or what was that? Like, you didn't know her.
Well, I guess it always comes down to Facebook, right? When you don't know the person. When you don't know the person, there's like, just PM me on Facebook.
So she was open to it. So yeah, like, did you send her the track without the vocals?
I have a feeling that she was a bit skeptical before I sent her the song. Because, you know, when a stranger asks you, "Oh, you want to record a song with us?" and you have never heard it before, who wouldn't be suspicious? Like, who wouldn't be, it might be shitty.
But she didn't know you from, like, Sepia Times?
I'm not sure, actually.
You're not sure? Okay.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I sent her the lyrics and the arrangement and my demo vocals, which I auto-tuned to shit.
Okay.
But just so that she knew the correct melody. And then apparently she is very picky with who she works with.
Oh, really?
So we're fortunate that she said yes to us, and then even at that point I was like, you know, I'm not sure if I want you to be in our group, or if you want to be in our group, or maybe you just want to be a featured artist. Because being in a group, it's a responsibility as well, and I didn't want commitment. I didn't want to burden her with that. I didn't want that weight to be on her shoulders involuntarily. So I wanted to. I gave that decision to her, and it all worked out. She has a band as well, Intertwined. So
Intertwined.
Yeah, have you heard of them? Have you seen them
no,
live?
No, I have not.
They're amazing. But I didn't want the extra responsibility to be on her shoulders if she didn't want it to. So I gave her that choice. we met in a coffee shop again.
Mhm.
And then, well, there's not really much I can say besides, we just talked, and we found out we're the three of us are introverts. It might not seem like it, but the three of us are introverts. And the thing I tell to people who I work with, I always say this. At least now, I always tell someone who I haven't met, or someone who I'm not friends with, and I'm working with. I always tell them, okay, there will be times that I won't talk to you because I don't know what to say, and I just want to put this out there so that you know that it's not that I hate you. It's just, this is the kind of person I am. Sometimes I need to be quiet.
Yeah.
And I need to stay in my head. So I always tell them, this is how I'm like, and you might feel the same way. So I just want you to know that I'm totally okay if you stay silent there, and let's just do good work, because when you get into when you work with people and you're making music, there's always this feeling that you have to form a relationship, and there's always this feeling I need to click with this person, and it's pressure, it's added pressure. So I don't want people to feel like that when they're working with me. I want them to be able to take their time to get to know me,
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense.
No, I get it. Like, at least on my end, I'll be honest, like I don't ever think about that introversion, extroversion thing.
Mhm.
And then I was surprised because I was hanging out with my friends, like the Rescue Hero guys when they were here a few months ago. And then and then one of them said, "Yeah, I don't expect you to go by kay murag, you're very introverted, like you don't really go out." And then I never thought of myself as an introverted person,
Mhm.
but like I also like to like not go out. Like I really do enjoy just staying home, and then I don't. It takes an effort for me to connect with other people, for
Yeah.
example, and then I think I'm not sure what the description for introvert extrovert is, right? But like if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, engaging with a lot of people, it energizes you.
Yeah.
If you're an introvert, if you engage with a lot of people, it does the opposite. You'll need to take a break at some point.
Yeah. Well, it's not like we don't enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It takes more effort.
But it takes more effort, and then you do need to disconnect
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're in a party or something, and then it'd be good to step outside and just sit there for 5 minutes. I don't know, At least that's my understanding of it. No, so I mean, I get it. So no, it's also, and one of the things that I'm hearing from you is that you're putting the groundwork of like setting expectations that, okay, sometimes, as I mentioned earlier in the pod, where if you're trying to look for band members, it's like looking for
A girlfriend.
like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then one of the ways to open up communication is just to be upfront. Like sometimes I'm going to be like this,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the more that people know about how you behave, the easier the communication, Because sometimes people misinterpret silence as something negative.
Hmm.
Well, we're getting like really philosophical. Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you brought it there.
So I always try to set that expectation before I work with people on whatever it is, music or a film.
So where did you guys record the You and Me? First of all, like I know that it has a little story. So You and Me, what is that? What is the song about?
Well, the way I pictured it, if you've listened to Closer by the Chainsmokers, it's more or less the same concept, really. Ex-lovers, basically a summer fling, more like summer fling, and they broke it off. It was great. It lasted a month. Let's say it lasted a month, and then after some time, they crossed paths again, and all these flashbacks and and emotions come rushing into your head about, oh, maybe we could start this fire again. So that's what the song's about.
That's what the song is about.
Yeah, it's the cliche. It's a cliche.
So that's not a personal experience thing.
No, I would say no.
That's you. Like you had a story in your head and you wanted that out as a song.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't thinking in terms of a story. I was thinking in terms of a goal. I had a goal. I didn't have a story. I had a goal. I wanted the cliche. Yeah.
So, bro, like, I am assuming you have a few other songs in the pipeline. Or
Well, we've got a couple of remixes for you and me coming, and they'll be out, I think, later this month.
okay.
We'll be promoting them on radio stations and stuff. But we do have a song called "Liar," and I haven't mentioned this anywhere. So if you're listening to this, you got a one up on everyone else. You heard it first on 032 Conversations.
Okay.
But yeah, there's this song called "Liar," and I hope that we'll be releasing it in maybe September or October, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've written like a bunch of songs. When I left for New Zealand for a month, I think it was in July this year, and I wrote a lot of songs for the Sellout Club. Still going for that cliche, but hopefully the songs turn out alright, you know. Yeah, so there's a song called "Liar," and I can't say much about it now.
Not yet.
But it will be out soon, hopefully.
What's so like you guys are a new act, new artist, and then I know that there's only one song out right now, but you've been in many bands. You've been part of You're part of Sepia Times.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I also like on Twitter you saw like people said, I guess Vincent Echo did you guys have a band called Behind the Seams?
Oh wait, dang. I was in a band called Freon. I don't know if you've heard of Freon.
No, I have not.
Yeah. Well, now you have. But a lot of the bands I was with before, we didn't really release music. Besides like Sepia Times and Behind the Seams was actually a pop punk band way back in 2013. We mainly did acoustic stuff, and when Vincent was actually not part of the band.
Oh, okay.
He was a fan. The first time I met Vincent Echo, it was a show with Behind the Seams playing, and Vincent Echo was also playing in the same show. I think it was a summer acoustic event. There was this group that ran events in the past, acoustic events called Summer Acoustic, and Vincent and we were playing in the same venue. That's the first time I met him, and I guess that's why he got sort of attached, because he was also a pop punk boy. But yeah, Freon, Behind the Seams. Freon released a single, and then after that we never released anything after. Behind the Seams didn't release anything.
But you've had quite a bit of experience creating music. I mean, like songs.
I guess so.
So, like, what do you have? Do you have a process? Do you have a routine? How does that work? Like, I was even surprised to hear that when you talked to Noah the first time, that you wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically had the song. I mean,
oh wait, but like,
I mean, not really. But
okay, I'll ask you this: how did you write the album for Rescue a Hero?
No, I don't. I wasn't the one who wrote. I didn't write anything.
Oh, but like the production process, though. How did
we
it
got
go?
into a room and we just okay. So McCoy would write the songs. He actually did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And he'd get into our jam in our rehearsal studio. We would at the time we played like we rehearsed like once a week, even if we didn't have any gigs. We just liked hanging out with each other.
Yep.
And then he'd play the song, and then we'd play over it, and we would discuss. And then sometimes the stuff that we played over would make it, sometimes it wouldn't. So it was kind of organic in a way.
Yeah.
That portion of it.
I can see that. So with different genres of music, I think the process is always different.
Yeah,
and I think like with different artists, different process is all just up to you. With With the Sellout Club, we mostly do our stuffs on our stuffs. Oh my god, I can't believe I said stuffs. Damn it. But yeah, we did all the stuff. We do all the stuff on our laptops, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense for us to rent out the studio to write and produce music. To write music, because like compared to you guys, you would go to the studio and
Because we need
play.
a quiet place, we
Yeah.
needed drums,
You need-
amplifiers.
exactly.
Yeah.
With you and me, it's all on the laptop. So we just hung out in a coffee shop with our laptops, and I had a notepad. And sorry, what was the question? I forgot.
No, so what's your never mind you and me, but like just in general, do you have a process when you create songs?
The process
Or what-
is
Like if I were somebody who wanted to make music and I started from zero, like I probably barely knew how to play an instrument, for
Okay.
example.
number one is always have a demo recording. That's
demo
the first
recording.
thing when I work with anybody or when I'm doing my own music. There always needs to be a demo recording, right? So that way you can listen back to it and then think of how you're going to approach the song. So there's this artist I'm working with now, for example, and he wants to do electronic stuff, but he also wants to use a keyboard. So like, okay, send me a recording of you. I want to record you play keyboard at my place, and I want you to sing to it, just for a demo, and then we can talk about it after. Since he was going for an electronic sound, the process is like mostly it's just us on our laptops.
Just trying stuff.
Yeah, just trying stuff. And I think it's a more minimalistic approach when you're doing DIY and you're doing electronic or laptop music, MIDI, whatever that is. Mostly it's like very minimalistic, and you can be in a small room. You can be in a room like this, and that's all you need. And then you can just talk, and then you can just share notes. If you're in a band, or if I was to work with a band for production, I would still ask for a demo. But then I think I would want to be in a studio as well, right? You know?
You need to see all those connections, those musical connections
Yeah.
hitting once they play the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like with that's the other thing. That's one of the reasons why I ask is like, so electronic music is very new and different to me because, as I mentioned, we were in a band, we played music, we played instruments, and then I don't have a good picture or grasp of how to make music with a computer. You get what I'm saying? I know it's it's not good or it's not better or worse. It's just very different.
Yeah.
And then I'm just trying to get a better sense of that.
Well, seriously, it's just, imagine someone sitting at a table and on their laptops. That's literally how it looks.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's not an understatement. It's literally how it looks. Sometimes you would be in a studio to maybe mix or master and then see how it sounds on like nice speakers. But what else do you want to know?
Are you
if you want to ask me something.
Like choosing the sounds or like knowing what I don't know, man. Like when electronic music, like is there a chord progression here or there? Are you guys,
Well-
that sort of thing, or like choosing the sounds, like what kind of how do you know like which snare drum sound to choose, or like what kind of bass sound,
With
or like putting it all together? What's the process?
the thing is, well, it's not just limited to electronic music, but any music that you make with MIDI
Uh-huh.
or on your laptop. The possibilities, there's such a wide variety of possibilities.
Which I think is also part of the problem in a way that you have to get through. Like you have the challenge of choice,
Yeah,
right? You have so many things to choose from.
that's true.
So how does one get over that hump?
Well, you need to put in the hours,
Mm.
definitely. I have a couple of, I know some people who just they spend hours looking for a certain snare drum sound. Like if they're not recording real drums, they try to find one online, and that's the longest part of the process, is finding the right sample or the right snare drum sound or the right MIDI keyboard plug-in. And because you can't you have to be particular with these sorts of things, because their own choice, you end up not making the song work.
Yeah.
You know. And
So even the smallest things, right? Like just the sound of a snare.
yeah, because there are appropriate sounds for there are appropriate sounds for specific songs, you know. But when you see a guy on a table on his laptop, there is a whole world in the laptop. There's a whole other universe in the laptop. Because like it's online. Everything's online now. And
Yeah.
you're not limited to what's in the hard drive. You can download, you can buy.
You can buy
And
sounds, the
you can
different sounds lagi, di ba?
there are a lot of subscription services
Oh,
that
yeah?
allow you to use their sounds for free, royalty free in your songs. Even the rappers around the world, they don't make their own sounds. They just download samples and loops online, and then they put it in their songs. Even the big ones, even the big artists, pop artists, in some times they even sample old songs.
Oh yeah, I know
But
that.
I think I don't know if I'm straying outside of the topic here, but my point is when you're maybe making music on your laptop, you're not, sky is the limit. Actually, the moon, the whole universe. There's a whole universe in your laptop. That's it.
What program do you use to make your music?
Well, it's the GarageBand for Windows. I call it. Yeah, that's what I call it. It's called Mixcraft.
Mixcraft.
Yeah,
For everything?
for everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Occasionally I do work. I have used FL Studio and Pro Tools, but I use Mixcraft for 95% of any music that I do.
Even when you play it live.
Yeah, even when I play it live.
Yeah, kana, that's another thing. Like the playing it live portion also I'm really interested in actually, because I know that there's some musicality there. You're not just pressing a button and there's the whole song being played. Or am I wrong?
On the contrary. Well, when you look at us, now the truth is, backing tracks play an important. Like for example, when I'm playing with Sepia Times, backing tracks are a very important aspect of our performance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just pressing the spacebar or pressing play, because you can see me with a guitar and a keyboard, and I'm doing robot sounds with my voice. Have you seen? I don't know if you've seen us perform
No, I
our
have
songs
not.
live.
You know, man, I
But
really wish I could go out more often.
Because I connect I connect my microphone to
Uh-huh.
my interface, my laptop, and it goes through like a couple of processing effects on Mixcraft, and that makes my voice sound like a robot. So it's the backing tracks plus the effects plus my keyboard plus the guitars plus my partner's vocals
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
and my vocals as well. All of them. But yeah, backing tracks are important. Some people, they do use loops and triggers. Like they have a launch pad where when they press a button, it plays a specific sound, and then you need to time when you're gonna press these buttons to make the song work.
Yeah, like playing an instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Like yeah, exactly. I don't have the resources for that right now, so I have to rely on backing tracks.
Mm.
but I don't think it takes away. I don't think it takes away from the music.
Uh-huh. It's still it's it's still a performance.
Yeah, it's still a performance, and
Mm.
it's just to some extent, like I won't deny that part of it is um, artificially made with machines, of course, with my laptop. But
Well, I could argue. I mean, honestly,
it's not. It's,
I don't look at it as artificially made. Like it's you made a song. Like it's not like
oh yeah, I mean, like if for lack of a better term, I would say the performance is like a cyborg, wherein it's sort of organic. Like 50% of it is organic, and like the other part is robotic. Do you get me? I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but that's how I would describe our performances live.
yeah, because as I mentioned before, like I'm from that generation where everybody was in a band, and then you would play music like with drums and everything. And then, in fact, I'm really interested in going to a performance or a gig with this new world of electronic music. Because I'm really interested to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
in a
I
good setting, not in a like a weird
oh yeah, of
corporate event
course.
setting, like in a legit. I don't know, wherever that music is supposed to be played setting.
I think in September there's gonna be because we have this we had this show back last year. It was called September Fever, and I think all of the acts were electronic.
Okay.
There was Mandawi Nights. Well, Mandawi Nights is more on they have that
Yeah.
retro synthwave pop sound, but which is like to some extent I think it's sort of electronic.
It's still electronic, of course, yeah.
Saint Wolf, if you're not familiar,
No.
do you know the band Saint Wolf? They're
I will
a
look
band
them
from
up.
Manila.
Okay.
They're a rock band, but they played an electronic set just for the event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was Sepia Times, and Fonzie played.
Okay.
He does pop. It was a big eye opener because you don't see that kind of event with those kinds of performances usually. I mean, back then. Now it's sort of it's picking up. You know,
Yeah,
it's picking up.
No, that's what I realized when I talked to Fonzie, because I interviewed him also, and he
Mhm.
told me about this world in a way, because I knew him, back when he had Drop Decay, that punk
Yeah.
band, that
Yeah.
pop punk band, and then like it was cool. It was like we'd see them in gigs and everything. In fact, while they were recording their album, I would see them in the studio also, because that's when we were mixing ours with Brian Sacro. And then yeah, but then all of a sudden I see him, he's doing electronic music, and I'm like, oh, where did this come
Yeah.
from?
That was the same exact reaction that I had when he released his single "Bad Habits."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, "What the heck?" It's not that it wasn't. It's a good song. I was just surprised. I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
surprised.
No, I mean, I'm surprised with the whole genre,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, for me, I like local music,
Mhm.
but it sounds like to me it just came out of nowhere, which is really cool, because like all of a sudden there's so much good pop music around right
Yeah.
now at this time, you know?
I
And
guess part of it is to blame for part of the reason for that is I think the internet age catching up with us, or we're catching up with the internet age we're in. You can download all the stuff, do everything on your laptop. I think it's that's reason a little bit maybe.
oh no,
I could be wrong.
no, I believe you. Like no, like as early as when we were a band in 2010, 11
Yeah.
ish, right? And then there were still artists here in Cebu, who wouldn't they would force you to buy their CD. You couldn't listen to their music if you didn't buy the
Yeah.
CD. And then we found that really strange because, like, even at that point, we were like, "Boy, I had Napster when it came out. I
Oh my
haven't,
God.
I haven't bought any music in like years, and then
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, if I'm not buying like from my favorite bands, how is my rinky-dink band gonna,
Yeah.
sell the music?" So at the time, there was no Spotify, and then artists were not putting their music in YouTube yet. Like they're putting like music videos, but there were
Mhm.
no like lyric videos, no, just the album cover and the music playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Artists weren't really doing that. So I remember we burned a couple of CDs and just wrote pentel pen our band name on it, and we'd give them out after gigs.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then but back then, I mean, it's not. I mean, that's what everybody does now by just giving them a link to listen to us on Spotify, listen
Yeah,
to us on
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
But it was, I mean, it wasn't that long ago where people literally didn't know that the internet, will make your music free in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And there was a lot of pushback, even as early as, well, I say early because I'm old, or as early as 7 or 8 years ago.
Totally agree with you on that. I guess that's just it's totally natural for change to happen. Like it's just evolution.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's just evolution, and so I think that part of it is also it's trend. It's a trend, Like it's a phase, and then we go through it, and then some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. Sort of like natural selection,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but yeah, it's just us discovering new things and then change.
No, I think
Because
so.
way back, I think, because I would hear stories about bands like Urban Dub, and that was
That was
like
20 years ago.
yeah, around the time that they started out, the rock scene was really booming, right? Or it was really like on the rise or something.
When they started?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, like in 2000, that's
Long
when
time ago.
That was
Yeah.
a long time ago, if you think about it.
and then so yeah, that sort of like rockish heavy stuff, right? And then
Well, there was a time when so Urban Dub became famous, and then I kid you not. I mean, I say this kind of in jest, but it's what happened.
Mhm.
Everybody sort of got the Urban Dub sound. Like everybody started playing
oh yeah,
melodic, heavy guitar
Yeah,
type music. And anyway, you're saying? Sorry, I cut you
no,
off.
I got your point there. And then after that, I think a lot of people started doing indie
Yeah.
indie rock. I don't know if it was already happening, but because I wasn't really into the music scene back then. But-
What year are you talking about?
Mid 2000, before 2010, between 2010 and 2000.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar actually. Like
Okay.
I'm more familiar with when we started 2007, 8, and there was still a lot of like heavy
Yeah.
bands. But anyway, yeah. So like the indie thing was happening, and then
Or was it around 2010 when when I noticed a lot of indie stuff, indie rock.
can you name any bands? Just curious.
Well, the more familiar ones to me, Honey Drop,
Yeah. Honey Drop.
Loop. Well, I'm not sure if it was in Cebu around that time, but
No, that's actually much more recent than 2010, 11, I believe.
oh, Loop.
And Honey Drop, I think so.
Yeah, I think Honey Drop was like 2012 or
Yeah,
something.
12, 13.
So I think it's some sounds they come up out of nowhere, and then a lot of people get into it, and then after a few years, there's another kind of there's another genre that comes in completely out of the blue, and then it's a trend for how many years, and then a lot of people get into it, and there's another one. It's like a cycle, I think now it's just that the electronics, it's the turn for the electronic scene to to be the trend.
Yeah, well,
Which is not necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing to join the trend, but it's a trend. You know, it's something that comes and then it goes. It comes and it gets replaced by another trend.
no, well, I'm enjoying it because it's very different from what we've heard before in terms of like what's coming out
Yeah,
of Cebu.
that's a cool thing when you hear something that's an outlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then not just an outlier, it's like an outlier and then like super high quality as well. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like really good music, like legit. I mean, if you guys, I want to just compare. This is going to be a bad comparison, but like for example, I don't know if you reached. There was a time when Bisrock became a dirty word, where it was like like the pioneers of Bisrock, like Missing Philemon, those kinds of. I don't know if you know them, like so like Insoy, and then like they did it really well,
yeah,
like rock music, Bisaya songs,
yeah.
and then unfortunately they inspired a slew of other bands who would play fun, comedic
Yeah.
Bisaya music, but it was funny, but the quality just wasn't there. Like they were literally just releasing it on radio, and they
I remember that.
Yeah.
I would wake up in the morning getting ready for grade school, and I would hear this song about fingering someone.
yeah, and it was just really.
Yeah.
People listened to it, and honestly, it got big for a while. But it wasn't something you'd be really proud to share and say, yeah, this is from Cebu.
True.
You know, or
I think that maybe that was sort of one of the reasons why people who think of music from Cebu or Cebuano music in general, they would sometimes think of it as Baduy.
maybe.
Yeah, which is like the opposite now, because we're having a lot of like awesome Cebuano music, Visaya music.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Bisaya music.
Yeah.
Like even some of the electronic music stuff is in Bisaya. Mandawi Nights is mostly in Bisaya.
And it's a cool thing that we're all trying to change the preconception that nga Baduy ang Bisaya or Cebuano music. Anyway, I forgot the root of this topic.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm just talking.
Oh yeah, it's good. Well, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, totally cool that I myself I'm so supportive of the cause that we're trying to raise the standards, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like you already mentioned Fonzie, Carla, other like electronic musicians that electronic artists that we should be looking out for. Like you mentioned a few that I didn't even know of already. Like anybody interesting out there that making good music?
Well, there's
You guys.
There's this pop group called the Sellout Club. Well, I think the ones that I'm friends with, they already have like their name sort of out there. There are probably a lot of up and comers and electronic music producers that I don't know of yet. Probably will in the future. Let me try to think of a few. Well, I've mentioned Carlisle. I've mentioned Fonzie. Sepia Times is also working on music.
Yeah, let's talk about Sepia Times, man.
Okay.
Like I tried, so I searched. You guys have been mentioned actually several times already by other people. Sepia Times, and I'd look online and everything, and then I think you guys had. I'm not like I said. I haven't never seen you guys live, but I searched like you can see it on YouTube. Like you guys have some early music.
Oh.
And then I think it's like acoustic bass type.
That was a total mistake. No, I say that was a mistake in the sense that it's not supposed to be on YouTube. The
Well,
thing
what do you
is,
mean?
yeah, because like if you've seen the videos on YouTube that have our music in them, they peak at certain points, as in like the sound distorts.
Ah, okay.
I uploaded them just as a test. I never got around to taking them down. So that's why our album's there. It's not supposed to be out. That's why our EP is on YouTube. The only stuff that's supposed to be on YouTube is Coffee Shop and 1238. The rest of the EP was it's not supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
But like, I never got around to taking them down, and people listen to them, so I'm like, okay, you know what, whatever.
Yeah, well, I feel like, as you mentioned, you can kind of fail first. Like, you just keep. I think the point is to just keep releasing stuff. But like, I noticed you guys aren't even on Spotify.
Yeah.
But are you guys coming up with You're coming up with new music as well?
We were planning to release new music way earlier than. Well, I think we're releasing music later this year. We were planning to releasing. Oh my god.
But I remember Bisaya.
Can I swear on?
Yeah,
can I swear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck man. We were planning to release music earlier, but because we had a producer. We were asked by a producer in the Philippines, because he wanted to produce our an album for us, or like whatever, a single. We kind of lost contact with him, so because he got really busy. It's not really his fault. It's just that life happened and then shit got busy, so we're not really talking. He hasn't replied to my messages, basically.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have to produce the album ourselves, and that's like the cause of the delay. Hopefully those new songs will be out on Spotify though. I was intending to release the previous EP on Spotify for our anniversary, for the band's like release anniversary for that EP. We never got around to doing it, so I think it's just for anyone who follows us after we release the new album, and then they see our old stuff on YouTube, then
it's very different.
That's just a bonus, It's like,
but it's very. It's like it sounds very different, right?
Yeah.
Like I think
we weren't electronic.
Yeah, exactly.
We were going for the alternative sound. But yeah, like the way I see it now, you know how when you're a fan of Maroon 5, and then you see this shitty song that has their name on it, and you've never heard it before, and it turns out that it's actually a song they recorded before they had a legit album. So like, mura siya bonus.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is a tidbit or an Easter egg.
No, it's cool because you see how it's a rare chance to see how like a music art. Well, at least it seems like that anyway. Because like back then, in the 90s or early 2000s, bands just came out and then they were fully formed.
Yeah.
Like it was perceived like, oh, they came out with with these songs and then they were perfect when it was born. But now the nice thing is you get to see. I mean, you get a rare chance with some artists to see what the process was like. So this is what they came out with in the beginning, in the first year or two, and the third year they realized, oh, this is our identity.
Yeah.
This is what our sound is, and then that's what they went with.
People tend to just see the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah.
They don't see, like, I think the 1975, and I think any other band, all the other bands, like the 1975 mentioned that no one was listening to their music until maybe after maybe 4 years or something like that, and then they came out with the single Chocolate, right? And then ever since then, like, people just jumped in the bandwagon and became their fans. It's sort of, people don't see the process.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. It's just, it's a nice thing to be aware of.
Well, that's, for me, part of this whole podcast is, as you might have noticed based on my questions, It's about the process. Like, I want to know the process.
Yeah.
I want other people to know the process so they can also do their own thing. That they should know that it just doesn't come out that way. There's a lot of like, not necessarily in your case, but like in general, there's a lot of crappy stuff
Mm-hmm.
that is released, and then something good happens.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg, guys. It's you. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say, man. I'm running out of words here.
No. I also think we're about an hour, and I think that's a good place to end.
No,
Is there?
no, we can. Let's keep talking.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like I think I wanna keep going. I think there's a lot to talk about. If you want to keep going,
Oh, well, sure. We can. We can
Ask
keep
me another
going.
question.
I don't know, man. I ran out. No, but no. I'm really happy to get your perspective in like what music is like now in Cebu. Actually, that's another thing that I would like to know more about. As I mentioned before, I haven't really been going to like gigs all that much. I mean,
Yeah.
just it's just part of the whole cycle. Like sometimes you just don't go to gigs anymore. No, so I'm just getting old. So what's it like? What is it like? You've been playing in Cebu for a while now. How long have you been playing live? Because playing live is totally different from making music in your bedroom with your laptop.
That's true. Well, Sepia Times. Let's take Sepia Times.
Sure.
We released an EP in December, the December of 2016, I think. And then for 6 months, we did nothing. We didn't play gigs. We played maybe 1 or 2 gigs, but we were following the sound of the EP that we released, right? It wasn't until we worked with Mandawi Nights that we decided, okay, you know what? Let's do electronic. That one decision really changed the whole dynamic for like making music for us and performing live. And it's sort of funny because that one decision, we gotta thank Mandawi Nights as well. We gotta thank Mandawi Nights because they gave us a little more perspective, with our music. And I think they're one of the main reasons why we went electronic. But yeah, after we released the EP, we didn't do anything for 6 months. And then when we changed our sound, that's when we started doing a lot of shows.
Mhm.
And people started inviting us to play at their events. What was the question again? Yeah, but yeah.
What's it like to play music in Cebu right now?
I can't talk about the disparity or the difference between now and then because it's only recently that I've really been heavily attending shows. So I can't compare it to, let's say, before 2010, because I'm fairly new. But
No,
I would
I
say
don't need you to
the
compare. But,
audience
like, what's
is
it like,
actually the audience is much more receptive to original music now, which should have been the case a long time ago. The thing is, as I've been told, and it's because of the history said in the Philippines or in Cebu, people when you would go to let's say a bar or a music club or whatever, and then there's an artist there, and they would always play covers, and like
yeah, that was like that in like the 90s.
yeah, and I think the early 2000s, it was a common thing, and I remember Katsuki would say, if you're gonna get an artist to perform covers, why don't you just play Jason Mraz on your PA system? But like, instead of getting someone to cover Jason Mraz, why don't you just play Jason Mraz on your PA system? But that was one of the things that stuck to my head. The thing is, now the audiences are more appreciative of when you play the songs that you made all on your own, you know. And I think that's a great thing. I hope more and more people become supportive of local artists who make their own music. What else do I have to say?
Well, how about like so when you play live, so when you do the electronic music, what are the gigs like? What are the venues that, like I mentioned earlier? I'll give you an example. So back then when we used to play live a lot, the place that we used to go play would be Outpost. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, I've been to there like 2 or 3 times, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that spot was, if you were a local musician who had original music, you played, and then if were decent, at least you would play. You would have at least played Outpost once, and then that was really cool because it was a bar setting. And then people really went there to just chill and relax. And if they didn't want to listen to the music, they could stay outside. If they wanted to listen to music, they could stay inside. And it had that whole chill bar setting. But I also feel like this is just my opinion. I don't really know. This is just what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think like the electronic music translates well in like if you played electronic music in Outpost, I don't think it would translate well. I'm not sure.
I would like to believe the contrary.
Oh, okay.
I like if Outpost was still there.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to do a show. I would love to do a show there. I would love to play with the Sepia Times at Outpost. Because, you know, I'd like to believe we offer something different.
Mm.
And every time an artist, like generally when an artist offers something different, it would most likely catch my ear, compared to someone who is riding the wave of what most bands are doing now. You know, because I would be like, oh man, this is something that needs to be recorded, and they need to make an album so that I'm not the people here are not the only ones who can listen to this music. You know,
Mm.
I like people who make
Different.
like kanang uncommon nga sounds
Yeah.
or uncommon nga approach to music.
No, for sure, because that's how you stand out, I think,
Yeah,
personally.
and I would like to think that the music scene in Cebu is still fairly young. As in, kanang the most common sounds that I hear, rock, indie, a lot of reggae as well.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
do acoustic pop or acoustic rock. Nowadays, like just recently, the pop vibe and the synthwave vibe, but like there's the underground rap as well, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel like
that's a whole other thing
Yeah.
that like, I mean, I'm not into rap, so I just don't get into it.
yeah,
But I know there's like a whole genre there that a lot of people enjoy.
yeah, yeah, but we're all we all sort of belong to our own rug tribes.
Mm.
We get together every now and then, like the tribes like mix with each other every now and then, but like for the most part we have there are events for this type of sound, and then there are venues for this type of music. Every now and then we stray away from that, from these lines that we draw for ourselves, but for a big part of, like, a lot of times we just stay in our circles.
Yeah, where have you guys been? Like, for like electronic music, have there been venues that just that you guys have been playing over and over again?
Well, we've Handura Mango.
Handura
We-
Mango.
We
Yeah.
we play there a lot. Well, mostly because the band, ano tawag ka na? The organizations or the groups that host the events, a lot of them do the music events at Handura. Of
Oh,
course.
Yeah,
Um,
Handura, even back then, like
Yeah.
like when they were in Gorordo, well, we played a lot.
Yeah.
Handura's really nice because they're really open to these sorts of events.
Yeah, and they're very supportive of art,
oh yeah, for
local
sure.
art. Well, like as I was saying, I'd like to think that the scene here is very young, and I think that we should raise our standards. Raise our standards. Like, I don't. It might be a bad thing. I don't know if people will take this the wrong way, but some people, they record stuff at home, and then it doesn't sound. Let's say it doesn't sound good, right? But they put it on Spotify, and then like, if it's that easy to make music and then put it on Spotify, I don't know. I feel like we need to make standards for ourselves.
But you're arguing against the internet. This is like this is a this is a this is like an ancient when I say ancient, like ever since the internet was born, this is an ancient argument. Same
Yeah.
things happening with like newspapers,
I get
movies.
where you're going.
uh
So I guess that it doesn't sound like a super valid argument in the context that we're talking about.
no, it is a valid argument. It is because like that's the problem when you give everyone a voice.
That's
When
true.
you give everyone a voice, let's just look at Twitter, for example. If you allow everybody to say what they think,
You're gonna-
everybody in the
they're
world
gonna
to say
talk
what
shit.
they think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it is shit. A lot of it really is shit. But you do that also means that you get to find these geniuses and
Yeah.
somehow get to connect with them, because the nice thing when you don't have any of the gatekeepers,
Yeah.
which is what it was like back then in the 90s, early 2000s. Like you had to go to a radio station. Like you had to. If you didn't go to a radio station, no one was going to hear your music.
Mm-hmm.
Zero.
Yeah.
No? If the person in the radio station did not like your music, forget it. Nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing was going to happen. Same thing if you were a writer. You had to go to a newspaper.
Yeah.
If the newspaper had all the writers that they needed, there's no way that you could get your word out there. So, but I get what you're saying.
Oh no.
There is an argument to be made that we should find ways to up the quality. Definitely.
Yeah. Especially the thing is, let me construct my thoughts real quick. I have high hopes for the music here, and there are a lot of great writers, a lot of great musicians. Mostly my concern is with the mixing and the mastering and the production, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could say that we could use a lot more audio engineers and people who actually know what they're doing with like audio mixing and mastering and recording here in Cebu. Because I don't know of that many people who can like produce, who can who have the technical capacity to put out a strong album.
All by themselves. You mean without help?
Yeah. And, well, we have engineers from, let's say, Jad Bantog, right?
Yeah,
Jad
Jad,
Bantog,
oh.
he's like, I think he was one of the best that we had here in Cebu.
Yeah, they moved to Canada or something.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's hard to find one good. It's hard to find. And it's hard to find someone who's not busy, who can contribute their time to work on your album and has the technical capacity to make it awesome.
Well, you know how you make them not busy?
What?
You pay them an appropriate fee.
That's true. Oh wait, no. The thing is, most of them are busy because there's scarce. You know, so people, all the people, they're going to the same person.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to the same person.
Well, this is why I like what Katsuki is doing with Room 11.
Yeah.
Because she's really, I mean, you know, she's been in the scene super long, so she understands what needs to be done in a sense.
Yeah. I think, like, I know that they're training engineers, and they have good engineers. But more importantly, they are promoting the principle that we have to be professional when we're
exactly.
making music, you know?
Oh, I
and
know.
we have to raise our standards.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Because honestly, before Room 11, I mean, even with Jad, like, we just praised him, right? But he was doing it basically, it was a home studio,
Yeah.
diba? And then it's totally different when you are, you know, when you go to a commercial spot, when you go to this place that is designed from the ground up to, you know, record your music, your song, your spoken word, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, no, that's why I'm really excited to see what's going to be coming out in the next few years.
Another thing, the artists also, they need to be aware of when a song has a bad mix. Most importantly, the audience. I think the audience really has to raise their like.
I think you're asking too much from the audience.
Okay. Well, because like if the audience settles for something that's mediocre, then where does the artist have to put effort into?
I'll push back on that because, in a way, like, I'll push back on that because who are we to say what the audience
Wants.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
I
Like,
do.
it's not our job.
I do. No, I absolutely get, like, it's a debate. It's a debate, but you can't lie, you can't lean onto one side too much, you know, because if it's a balance.
Oh, no, for sure.
Because I know that lo-fi is a genre in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
But there are it's a very blurry topic.
No, you remind me of, like, one of those, like, I have, like, friends who just you kind of want to change the world in your own way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, it's just good. I mean, that's how things get done.
Yeah.
That's how things get done. No, I'm just saying that.
I hope it made sense though. You know, like, lo-fi is a genre in its own right, but there is if you say that everything is subjective for the audience, then, like, it's so easy to pass off a shitty song as something good or as something marketable, or, you know, if it makes sense.
I think you're talking about, like, is if we could find a way to get people's taste better, like if they could just up their taste in music, their taste in art. You get what I'm saying? Like, there is this thing about taste where it's subjective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is such a thing as having good taste. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then that, unfortunately, is something that is not easy to teach. Like, if you were just growing up listening to, a good example escapes me right now, but if you were just growing up listening to crappy music, and then you thought that was the only thing out there, and then that's your taste. That's what you're into.
Yeah.
Right? I get it.
Well, I don't think there's a right answer, but we gotta find a balance between objectivity and subjectivity.
So let me ask you, Bai. So here in Cebu, I know that a lot of people create music because they want to create music because the financial rewards of creating music, at least in my time, weren't really there. Like, we were literally paid pizza and beer to play to play gigs, right? So is it what is it now in terms of that? Is it still, I don't know. Is it still like, yeah, you play music, but you still have a day job, which I assume is the case.
That's
Uh,
exactly the case.
uh-huh.
Well, I I can say it's better than it used to be because, well, artists are actually making money from the art that they're creating, but I can't say that it's enough to survive.
But it's
So,
there.
well, artists are getting paid. That's the least I can say.
Hmm.
Uh,
Through what channels? The
money.
gigs.
Yeah, through the gigs with musical royalties. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I know artists who get paid by their musical royalties, but it's not that much according to what I hear.
Yeah.
Except if you have a really like a song that was a big hit.
Like
you
if
know?
it gets played like a million times
Yeah,
a month
if
or
you're like
something.
fucking Four of Spades,
Uh-huh.
then you're making money. But if you're like most of the bands here, I think we get more money from shows than actual royalties.
Ah, but so there's at least there's that now, because back then, I'll tell you, those slim pickings. We probably I don't really know, but I can probably count how many times we got paid as a band. No?
Yeah.
So now like it's different. Now like promoters are really,
Paying.
yeah, they are.
Well, yeah. I think we could still build a. There's not even really. I couldn't call it an industry here. I couldn't call it a music industry. In Cebu, there are some areas where the business is good, but to make to call it a good music industry, in general, you have to accommodate a variety of different genres. Like, what I'm trying to say is, we can make we still build a better industry.
We can still get better.
Yeah, and I
So-
hope it does.
So why? So like in your case, why make music?
If money aside,
So we already know it's not about money.
absolutely. Funny thing, the Sellout Club was an experiment to see if we could actually,
Quote unquote sell out.
yeah. I was hoping to do better, sell out more. I guess maybe we didn't market it good enough. But why am I making music? I just love the process of creating. A lot of people, they would say, it's a form of self-expression. To me, it's also, it's a form of self-expression. That's a byproduct to me. I like creating lang. I like creating something. And some people might say, you're not putting your heart into it. You're not real. You're not a real musician. You're not a real artist because you're not expressing yourself. You're not doing it to express yourself. I'm like,
Oh, that's a 90s thing.
no, I just want to make stuff, I just want to make stuff, and that makes me happy. And maybe like earn a little bit and meet new people, learn. I just like creating stuff, and then like when I listen to something through my earphones, or when I see my profile on Spotify, and I'm like, I can say, I made that stuff, and I listen to it. I'm like, damn, this is something that I did, or this is something that my group did, or me and these other people did. It's the creation, not the creative process. Well, the creative process is part of it, but I like creating things. Whatever it is, I like creating things.
I feel like that's the best, quote unquote excuse to do something though. Like if you like to do something for the sake of doing it, then that's when the best things come out. Like,
yeah.
for example, like basketball. Like I like to play basketball. No one's gonna be paying me to play basketball as a professional basketball player,
Yeah.
right? But I still do it. I still love doing it, and then because I love the game. I love playing the
Yeah.
game, and then that's exactly what you're doing with music. You like creating music.
Sort of, but there's something about creating. It's like you're making a baby
Oh, yeah,
No,
I
but
get it. Like,
yeah,
the thing with basketball, you're not creating anything, you're doing an action.
Yeah.
But,
but you're with music. It's something that people can listen to over and over again. You know, you get me, and well, when I listen to, I remember I used to listen to Boys Like Girls, and they were my favorite band in the world. And then I would listen to their music, and I feel stuff, and I want that power to make people feel things when they listen to something that I created. You know, I want people to feel the way I felt when I listened to someone else's song, and I think that was also one of the driving points to why. That's also one of the driving points to why I make music.
sige. But I think this is a good place to end.
Okay,
No?
well, I'm happy now. Sorry if I was holding you up.
No, man. I like having these conversations. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's I'm really happy that you sent me a message and you wanted to get into the podcast. Yeah. Anything else you want to add? Anything? What's the Sellout Club doing? So there's we gave the news exclusive. Liar is coming out.
Okay.
Anything coming up?
So we've got, first of all, we're releasing different versions of You and Me on all music platforms and online, whatever. They're gonna be out later this month, so watch out for that.
Okay, I'll try to get this episode out before the month ends.
Cool, yo. But if you want to follow us on social media, that's we're on Facebook. That's facebook.com/the. You know what? Just search the Sellout Club
I'll
on
look
Facebook.
for it. It'll be in the show notes. Facebook, Instagram too, right?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter at Sellout Club PH. Sepia Times. Just search it. Sepia Times.
It'll also be in the show notes, so the links will be there.
Yeah. You can also check me out on my personal accounts, Luigi Balazo, if you want. And
This is Twitter and Instagram.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Like
Yeah.
your personal profile on Facebook?
Oh, well,
Okay.
if you guys want. I mean, if I don't want to be friends with you, I can always, I can always delete
Alright.
your request.
I just put it out there because I want to make sure.
What else? Thank you to whoever's listening, and thank you to the Sellout Club, Mandy and Noah. Thank you, Sepia Times. To Tango Records, shout out. Thank you also to Tango Records and Room 11. Mandawa Nights. All those places that let us play and actually give us money. Thank you to 032. Thanks, Carlo.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Lai.
I've never been on a podcast before, so this is all new to me.
Oh yeah, it's okay. This is my first year of doing a podcast.
Oh, it's still your first year.
Yeah.
I thought you've been doing this for a long time.
No, man. It's I've been wanting to do it for a while, but
Okay.
started Feb.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that you're giving locals a chance to voice out and share their thoughts and whatever.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I hope that the 032 Conversations that's what the podcast is called, right? I hope to hear a lot more from this podcast. I hope it gets out there and people, listen to it.
Hey, I will just keep plugging along.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man.
I hope you enjoyed that episode featuring Luigi. In the end of this outro, I'm going to play their song called You and Me from the Sellout Club. But before we get to that, I'd like to make a patron shout out and a huge thank you to Manu and Mati. This is actually my wife. She's one of our patrons, and then she wanted me to dedicate the thanks to our two kids, Manu and Mati. Thank you so much for being patrons. Hopefully we'll get a lot more people supporting the show in the future. If you want to support the show, if you think what we are doing is valuable to you, if you want us to keep going, go to patreon.com/032. That's Patreon, that's Patreon.com/032. ZeroThreetwo. Or you can find the link in the show notes. There's a whole bunch of fun rewards and exclusive merch that we will release through the Patreon page. Your support and help will keep this podcast going. If you enjoy long-form conversations like this, subscribe to our Patreon or just subscribe to the podcast. I've seen a few people, they post a picture of themselves listening to the podcast through the website. But the most ideal way to listen to a podcast, if you ask me, is if you download a podcast app to your phone and then you subscribe to 032 Conversations and then you listen to it while you're doing something mindless, like you're in your car, you're stuck in traffic, or you're doing mindless work like, I don't know, inputting stuff on a spreadsheet. Honestly, that's what I do. So subscribe to the podcast so you can listen to it anywhere and you don't need to stream it. You can just automatically download it to your phone. That's the best way to listen to podcasts, in my opinion. The music from this podcast is Piano March by Audionautics. Let's listen to that song called You and Me by the Sellout Club. Thanks for listening. See you next Tuesday.
Walking the other way. Every time I see your face, you haven't changed a bit.